My name is Tony. I'm the founder of the Osmosis AI. So our booth is over there. So we are trying to transform any commercial vehicles to fully level 4 autonomous fleet. Today we are trying to study about the end-to-end and also the visual language action models on the impact of the autonomous driving. So this year, everyone talking about the VLA and the world models. What is the difference between the end-to-end? What is the visual language model? What exactly is the VLA? And why does not adding it automatically make driver assistance smarter? Many automakers already explore the VLA. To understand its pros and cons, we should first review how autonomous driving algorithms have been developed. We briefly trace the path from rule-based system, end-to-end, and the visual language model, and also ultimately the visual language action model. Compare the strengths and the weakness, explain why the VLA is gaining traction, identify the real bottlenecks, and discuss what next for the autonomous driving. During the late 2010, decision-making relied on handcrafted rules and 5-stage algorithms. For example, if the sensor measures 45 meters ahead and the stated distance is 50 meters, then brake, otherwise keep cruising and maintains the gaps to the vehicles ahead. This is easy to implement and understand mostly. If then algorithm is very simple logic, the rules are clear and interpretable, and it does not require much computing power. As we add more rules, the driving experience can become quite smooth, but the rules are finite and the road is infinitive. On a real case scenario, we face countless situations and the rules program struggle with open-ended complexity. Once the scene fails, outside the programmed condition, say in listed traffic, when a pedestrian or cyclist makes an unexpected move, the system can fail. Programming teams then code more and more rules and even install more sensors, increasing the complexity without truly solving the coverage. With the breakthrough of GTP-style models, the industry turned to the end-to-end learning. Many companies increased reliance on the end-to-end approach in the earlier to the mid-2020. And what is end-to-end? End-to-end means from perception to the control. Practically, we connect the perception end to the control end through the neural networks that is our brain. The network learns pattern and associates with large dataset and train them to action. No handwritten rules or express system forming precisely like the human response. Consider teaching a 2 or 3 years child to ride on a bicycle. In a rule-based system or rule-based approach, you will say when you see the traffic light is red, means you have to go, you have to stop. When you see the green traffic light, means you can go. And if you see a stone ahead, turn left to avoid it. But if the child discovers is a dog appear, the child do not know how to do that. But in the end-to-end approach, the child practices bicycle over 100 times under the parent's supervision. When the dog appears, they slow down and steer around. And if it's a person, they slow or stop and pass safety. The advantage of the end-to-end is that neural network can drive more like experienced human driver, reducing the brittle modules and behave intuitively in common scenario. The downside is that it needs huge amount of the video to train it. Fundamentally, end-to-end is an imitation learning. Understanding is weak and long-tail robustness is fragile. It's a black box, so we cannot always tell why it's turned right or left. Data quality is also hard to control. The model can pick up bad habits from the humans. End-to-end work well in the normal scenes, but rare, complicated situations are missing from the data. When we meet this corner or long-tail case, the usual fix is to collect more data, and if it still fails, collect more, even more. But even very large data sets cannot cover every case. Imagine an unusual scene: an elderly woman in a wheelchair chasing a duck across the road, where the vehicle hesitates and stalls in a lane, unsure what to do because they don't know, they did not see the scene before, so the end do not know how to handle this scenario case. So furthermore, the end model learn by imitation. They effectively simulate human driving. Trained on massive amount of human driving video paired with the action, the model learns to reproduce those action. For example, after seeing many clips where humans stop at a red light, he stopped and perception detect the red light, but it doesn't know why he stopped. It's just copying this pattern, not reasoning about the rules. To close the gap in understanding and explanation, we add the visual language model on the top of the end-to-end model as like the co-driver. The co-driver can understand the complex semantic scenes, read the signs and also the symbols, and provides high-level guidance to the end-to-end planner. It knows what the object is and what the rule says. Helping the end-to-end make a better decision in a long-tail situation. It can also explain the decision to the passenger in a natural language. For example, issue a voice promote such as, the road is dangerous ahead, slow down appropriately. When the pinhole are detected in the road, in effect, the road visual language model thinks which well knowledge and can anticipate upcoming road condition. The VLM and the end-to-end is especially useful for long-tail case. Just like in a giraffe suddenly across the road, a pure end-to-end system may never have seen such data and fail to classify it, hesitated in the lane and stop here. But a VLM model can use the visual clues and priority knowledge to recognize that the object is the animal, and it can guide the vehicles to slow down and safely steer left or right to pass it, even without an experienced label or picturing the situation. The VLM does not replace the perception or planning, it as an analysis, understanding the scene and suggesting the action for the end-to-end model to execute. In the normal traffic, the end-to-end model drives by itself and is the main decision maker, but when the scenes become complex and the model is unusual, the VLM gives a high-level instruction like drive slowly or carefully or keep the longer distance. The end-to-end planner then use the instruction to create the driving path. Road driving is the routine, but safety risks come from the corner case. Like the Daniel Kahneman books thinking fast and slow. The system uses the fast, automatically respond for everyday situation, and switch to slower, carefully reasoning when we need. In the design, the end-to-end model and the large language model run in parallel, with the large language model guiding the end-to-end models when required. A major challenge is the deployment. Large language models are computer heavy and hungry. Every earlier prototype often run too slow for the closed loop control. On typical automatic computer, carefully model design and runtime optimization can cut the latency substantially, but the latency and the computing power budget remains central constraint. To overcome this limit, industry tried to explore several routines, introducing the visual language action path, the real model path, and other approach. The visual language action model has drawn the most attention recently. As its core, visual language VLA, visual language model, VLA integrate a top brain and an edge brain and use the end-to-end algorithm to unify perception, understanding, and control in a single model. The VLA stands for Visual Language Action Model. Thinking is an important foundation models then jointly read the sensor input like the camera, LiDAR, radar, understand them, and use the language and argument and reasoning to directly output action like the steering, braking, acceleration. Unlike the end-to-end model that mainly simulate how human control from radio to action, A VLA is trained on large-scale visual language knowledge, and then fine-tuned so that the scene model can map observation to action. Unlike the old modular pipeline, VLA brings an LM-style backbone. It takes input from the camera, radar, and other sensors together with the vehicle stage and process them in a single network. The data are tokenized, fused, and trained end-to-end so the model can be one-shot reasoning and decision-making in a simple terms. The co-driver now becomes the more like main driver. It not only understands the scene, but can also output the driving commands such as acceleration, braking, steering, and practice. When we say VLA tokenized input, it doesn't know any geometry or physics. Instead, besides the semantic tokens like the car, pedestrian, traffic light, it also keeps the object level tokens, bounding both like action tragedies, and the 3D physical tokens like depth, motion, and the layout. This feature the representation help the models not just see, but also reasoning about the cause and effect. And for example, predicting the ball bounding into the street means the child may follow. Imagine you are driving past a school zone where children are playing near the roadside. A ball suddenly bounces into the street. The perception system figures out it's an obstacle. The end-to-end plus the VLM identify is the ball end. By reading the signs, recognize the area in the school zone. It then advise the planner to account for this context and slow down, moving from the object detection to reasoning and appropriate action. But the VLA will go further. Instead of merely seeing and act instantly, it performs longer intervals, seeing the ball rolling into the road, indicating a child may dash out from the sidewalk. So the system should give more strong attention and reduce the speed proactively. By introducing the LM-style backbone, VLA can combine the symbols, school zone, sign, and ball, pedestrian with physics like the speed, distance, tragedies to form a cross reasoning. So it's like the thinking like the ball, school zone, slow down, expect the child. This reduces the need for many visuals and hand-coded fallback. The VLA is stronger and analyzes the complex situation, and through reinforcement style learning, they acquire a new knowledge much more like the human, understanding, reasoning, and remember why continuously interacting and communicating with the outside world, summarizing the feedback, and ultimately truly learning once learned. It can be generalized and apply that knowledge flexibility to solve new problems. We can train the VLA with the generative world and the generative world model. The world model simplifies diversity scenario, and the VLA learns from these things to improve the driving skill. World model in the loop training and the evaluate help attack the long tail corner case, generate controlled variance, train and distill, and then reverse in the closed loop before the roll exposure. Still, to fully unlock the VLA potential, major challenges remain above all the model design, safety assurance, and the computing power. VLA needs driving scenes data with a contextual intelligence, and unlike the seasonal human driver, it must cope with the more complex data. We have compressed the perception to the control with the end-to-end. Added semantics understanding with the VLM, and now stand for the string of the VLA. The path forward is key. First, the architect for safety and latency, adopting VLA for the scene's understanding, long horizontal panning and explanation, and the edge brain controller that is more determinative and certificable. Second, close the long tail gap with the generative world model that synthesizes rare events, letting us train, distill, and recognize at the city scale before touching the public roads. Third, prove it responsibly, combine the functional safety with the evidence and the scenario based on the verification that track the risk and the actual matter. In the near term, we will see the language condition driver assistant that adopt the performance with the hard safety bars and tell you what it's doing and what it's doing. In the midterms, and the model and the simulators and train each other, we will rely based on density and mental parity. Success will not be measured by the single engagement matrix. It will be measured by the coverage of the critical scenario, stability under the updates, and the clarify the system expectation. If we keep those yardstick front and center, VLA will not just make the cars more compatible. It will make the automated driving more predictable to certificate, easier to operate, and easier to trust. That is the future we should insist, and the one we already building. Thank you very much, everyone, for the section of our suite. Thank you very much. So our proof is over there. So if you have any questions or if you would like to explore more our products, you can try to study our proof here. We have a demonstration for our prototype of the kit. So we are trying to transform any vehicles to level for autonomous vehicles. We have the software and also we have the hardware together, just like a robotic driver to help you to solve all the driving problem. Thank you very much.